Oh yeah, you can type into those. Yeah, just in case that wasn't clear on me. Whatever you want to do. I mean, it's just a little word. It's got a word processing power. That's all. Okay, so let's turn that off. So there's a collector case that's available at any time. Now, a lot of people, I mean, I would imagine, that have had any experience with technology, or even if they haven't, are asking questions about, well, how do you create materials for something that's this complex? One. And it seems like there's going to be a lot of materials that ultimately grow to support them. As far as the latter point, yes, there's going to be a lot of materials that ultimately grow to support learners. There's going to be anyway. We've developed a tool from an authoring perspective, which I'm going to show you, but I want to be careful on how we spend our time together, which I think is as easy for authors to use to create this dimensionality as this is for learners to use to learn from it. And ultimately, the two tools fuse along the lines of your question. But in the meantime, the thing that I'll do as a kind of an intermediate is show you one of the things I'm really most happy with. When we were talking earlier, we said that it was very, very critical for everything that the education system produces and provides to a learner to be viewed as if it was an offer for you to learn with, at the same time a lens with which I can learn how to better make this help you learn with. Right? It's got to have that fold back on itself at every possible level. Well, this has that. So for an example, I come into the word walking. It doesn't matter, whatever it may be. And I click on it. It says, well, the computer walking picture. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, I got to try it now. No, okay, that's a residue. I remember that, but the picture didn't accompany me on the disc. That's the guy walking on the rope while he's dishing the rope out over the cliff. Yeah. It's a really neat image. I'll bring it next time. The point here is let's say I went for a picture, but that's not what I needed, whatever the word was. So I can come back here. Actually, now what I just did was click up. Let me come back a point. On gravity. Gravity currently has a dictionary, encyclopedia, and a soundbite associated with it. And I say, wait a minute, I really wanted to see some kind of a movie, something much more dynamic. Or I wanted a different word. If I want to express that, by clicking this, by hitting a button and clicking this, all the different reference classes become available to the learner. And they can say, geez, I wish the author would have told me more what he meant by this. So by clicking this, notice that the bottom window now has the symbol for author's note and the symbol for feedback. By clicking the clear button, just send a message to the author that says, hey, as a learner, when I looked at this, I think you should have explained it better. I wanted to have something that, I wanted to have some kind of an author's note that would help me. And the same thing could be true for, I wanted a different language, whatever it may be. That every time the system doesn't provide the kind of resources that the individual needs in relating to a word, term, phrase, or the whole representation, or at any different level, we provide them a way to articulate that then flies back to where this is being developed, so that their evolving of the materials actually is in response to the real needs of real learners, and not this big assumption gap. Yeah? Or, exactly, yeah. So let's do that again and say, I wanted to have a movie, you know. I could now say, so now it says movie feedback. So the simple message is, I wanted a movie. And by hitting the button, that's been sent. Or I could elaborate on that by typing into this window. I wanted to see, and then maybe I put down, I saw this movie once named blah, blah, blah. Whatever more I need to articulate, or can or want to articulate, and send that off, and then that's gotten back. Now this not only works at the reference level, it works at the representation level. So let's say that I would go in here and I go to the scientific mode. Oh, let's do it. Let's do it a different way. In the scientific mode, there's the etymology and these two external launches, but there's not the basic laws. So I think there ought to be laws. So in the scientific mode, I wish there were laws, right? And I've kicked that back, and I've just sent that message back, right, that way. Now, again, please understand that the particular icons I'm using and the kind of relationship that I'm proposing is infant steps towards doing what I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about is what's essential, that in order for us to learn how to respond to the individual fluctuating meaning needs of learners, we've got to provide this. How else can we learn? The rest of it means we're going to stand way back over here with this telescope that sees only thousands at a time through quantum probability, and think that, okay, we'll adjust this and try this, instead of something that actually tunes into working. So everywhere that the learner can encounter difficulty, we've got to provide them a way to articulate that in a way that helps us. So that not only is their meaning need articulation helping them drive the process of unfolding the learning experience, it's helping us learn how to create the context and the environment that can function in. So as an example, let's see if I can jump back to the back here. Since we started today, the system has kept track of the fact that the learner that's moved through this space has seen these references in these different modules, right? The went through these representations. I wanted a movie, or gravity. Yeah. All of this is flowing out of the learner interface in various different ways back. And from this information, which has got a granularity of resolution about what's actually happening to that learner, there's a possibility of an entirely different kind of diagnostic, even at the teacher level relationship to the learner. Because here we're seeing what kind of representational preferences they have, what kind of reference preferences. And I have conceptually, not in some test every 6 months, but actually as they're moving. So I envision a time when this information is really flowing into a screen that a teacher can see, and that at different levels, curriculum designers, school district officials, and whatever you can see, that really show where kids are dropping out, right, where they're having problems with respect to different kinds of material, where we've got more need for that kind of a representation over there, and that more at the more micro level. The next time we go through this course, we need to get these kind of reference supports for these words here, because these things are really trouble. So the whole system starts to grow to reflect these needs. So this is a first step in kind of keeping track of that. So what else can we do here?
David, would the school grow the system, or would your firm grow it?
When you mean by grow the system, the technology that... Right. Well, the movie would come back. Let's say if the content that was going into here was content that was locally produced. I don't know how familiar you are with educator-produced educational materials, which flow back through various manifolds back into education, such as Intellimation does in Santa Barbara. There's a number of companies that are going to grow to do that. This is the kind of information that should flow back to the prioritization of for creating new content and for modifying and evolving existing content and existing curriculum.